You've probably seen it before, the terrifying fish with a glowing antenna dangling in front of razor-sharp teeth. It's popped up in horror games, deep-sea documentaries, and even made a cameo in Pixar's Finding Nemo. But what most people don't realize is that this isn't just a fictional monster. It's real. And it's way weirder than you think. This is the anglerfish, a creature that doesn't just live in the darkest parts of the ocean, it dominates them. Found in nearly every deep ocean on Earth, the anglerfish isn't just one species. It's a whole order of more than 200 nightmarish variants, each more unsettling than the last. And while they all look like something from a bad dream, they've also evolved in some of the most extreme, unforgiving environments on the planet. But here's the truly disturbing part. Those terrifying jaws and that glowing lure, they're just the surface. Anglerfish are hiding something much more horrifying, something that most people never hear about, and that science is only just beginning to understand. Because under all that deep-sea darkness and monstrous design lies one of the most disturbing reproductive strategies in the animal kingdom. A process so extreme, so grotesque, and so unlike anything else in nature, it leaves even experienced researchers stunned. They don't just mate, they merge. But before we get to that, you need to understand what makes these creatures such ruthless predators in the first place. Because their looks, they serve a very specific and very creepy purpose. It's pitch black, thousands of meters below the surface. No sunlight, no color, no escape. But then, out of nowhere, there's a soft glow. A pale light swaying gently in the water. For a small fish drifting by, it looks like hope. Maybe food, maybe safety. But it's none of those things. That eerie glow? It's bait. And the monster holding it is the anglerfish. That dangling light is called the esca, a built-in fishing rod grown straight out of the anglerfish's forehead. But here's where things get wild. The light doesn't come from the fish itself. It comes from a colony of glow-in-the-dark bacteria that live inside the lure. And this isn't some casual hitchhiker situation. It's a full-blown biological alliance. The anglerfish doesn't just host these bacteria, it depends on them. In fact, researchers have found that the bacteria go through a kind of forced evolution just to stay inside the anglerfish. Their genomes shrink by up to 50%, meaning they literally ditch parts of their DNA to better serve their host. They can't even live outside the fish anymore. It's like Venom and Spider-Man, except way more real and way more messed up. The anglerfish gives the bacteria a safe home. In return, the bacteria light the way. But not for the fish's safety, for its kill. Unsuspecting prey see that soft glow and swim right toward it, straight into a mouth lined with translucent curved teeth, angled perfectly to guide victims directly into the stomach. And here's the kicker. That mouth can expand to swallow prey twice the fish's own size. With flexible bones and a stomach that stretches to grotesque proportions, the anglerfish doesn't just trap its victims, it devours them whole, no matter the size. But even that freakish hunting ability isn't the strangest thing about this creature, because while the glowing lure might catch food, it also plays a role in something far more disturbing, attracting a mate. And once that happens, things take a turn that's so bizarre, you might not believe it's real. At this point, you already know the anglerfish is terrifying, but what you might not know is just how bizarre their bodies are, like something designed in a fever dream. Because these creatures don't just look odd, they're built like biological paradoxes. Let's start with their shape. Depending on where an anglerfish lives in the ocean, its body morphs into something straight out of a sci-fi lab. Deep-sea bottom dwellers? They're shaped like biological pancakes, flat and wide, almost comically squashed from top to bottom. It's the kind of fish that looks like it's been stepped on. But the ones closer to the surface? Complete opposite. They're flattened sideways, tall, narrow, and blade-like, as if they were sliced in half and left standing. But it doesn't stop at their build. Anglerfish also have skin so fragile you could literally peel it off by hand if you dared to touch one. And those translucent, dagger-like teeth? They don't just stab, they guide. Once prey enters that mouth, the backward-sloping teeth make escape impossible. It's like a hallway with no exit. Once you go in, you don't come out. And here's the truly unsettling part. Anglerfish can eat prey that's double their own size. That's not an exaggeration. Thanks to hyper-flexible bones and elastic stomachs, their bodies distend to monstrous proportions after a kill. Imagine a creature that looks small and squishy, then instantly balloons into something out of your nightmares, all because it swallowed something too big to fight back. But as freakish as their feeding is, it's nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to the twisted strategy they use to reproduce. Because while other animals search for mates, anglerfish take it a step further. They fuse with them. And to understand how that horrifying ritual works, you first need to meet the most cursed creature in this entire story, the male anglerfish. Imagine being born into the world with no real chance at survival. You're tiny, fragile, can't feed yourself, and your only hope for staying alive is finding a female big enough to absorb you. That's not science fiction. That's the life of a male anglerfish. Now, when we say they're small, we don't mean a little smaller. We mean microscopic by comparison. In some species, males are more than 500,000 times smaller by weight than the females. To put that into perspective, if this kind of size difference happened with humans, the average woman would weigh more than 3 Eiffel Towers. And their problems don't stop at size. These males are born without functioning jaws, meaning they can't hunt or feed themselves. Their reproductive organs? Incomplete at birth. They're biologically unfinished, like a prototype that was never meant to work on its own. So how do they survive? They don't, unless they find a female. And in the pitch-black, crushing pressure of the deep sea, finding anyone, let alone the exact species you're supposed to bond with, is a statistical miracle. But nature, in all its cruel brilliance, gave the male anglerfish just one real skill: the ability to track. They're equipped with massive eyes and hypersensitive olfactory systems designed specifically to locate a female. Not food, not safety, just her. And when they finally find her, that's when the nightmare truly begins. Because the male doesn't just flirt, or dance, or compete. He attaches himself permanently. He bites her, and never lets go. It's not a metaphor, it's literal parasitism, and it gets far more disturbing from here. So you're a male anglerfish. You've spent your short, fragile life drifting in darkness, blind and starving, chasing the faint scent of a female. And then you find her. She's huge, towering, a glowing beacon in the deep. This is your one shot at survival. You don't hesitate. You swim straight toward her and bite down into her body. But instead of pulling away or fighting you off, something far more disturbing happens. Your bite triggers a biochemical reaction. You release a special enzyme through your mouth, an acid so strong it melts her skin at the point of contact, all the way down to her bloodstream. Your body begins to fuse with hers, not symbolically, literally. Your tissues dissolve into hers. Your veins merge. Your life systems sync. You're no longer a separate being. You've become a permanent extension of her body. From that moment on, you no longer need to eat. She feeds, and you absorb her nutrients through the bond. You no longer need to move, because you can't. Your jaw is locked, your fins stop working, and your body begins a slow collapse. All that remains of your former self is your reproductive organs, which she can now use whenever she's ready to mate. And it doesn't stop with one. Multiple males can attach to a single female. Some species have been found with up to 8 males fused along the sides of one female, each one reduced to a living, breathing sperm bank, feeding off her blood and slowly wasting away. It's like a deep-sea version of a twisted sci-fi hive queen. One dominant female, surrounded by enslaved males, permanently locked into her body, existing for one function only: reproduction. It's horrifying, it's fascinating, and it's all real. But this process has one final twist, because the male doesn't just lose his freedom. Over time, he loses himself entirely. Once the male anglerfish is fused to the female, there's no going back. He's officially part of her now, a permanent parasite with a single biological function. And from here, things only get darker. The moment that bond is sealed, the male's body begins to shut down, slowly, systematically. It's as if nature looks at everything he no longer needs and just deletes it. First to go? The eyes. They deteriorate into useless blobs he won't need to see ever again. Next, his fins. Atrophy sets in, leaving them limp and lifeless. Soon after, his digestive system collapses entirely. Why keep it? He's not allowed to eat anymore. Even his brain and internal organs begin to decay, replaced by connective tissue that binds him more tightly to the female's body. Piece by piece, the male disintegrates, until only one thing remains: his testicles. That's right. The final form of the male anglerfish is nothing more than a pair of functioning reproductive glands embedded in the side of the female. He no longer thinks. He no longer moves. He no longer exists in any meaningful sense. But when she's ready to mate, he's there, fused and waiting. It's grotesque. It's efficient. And in the cold, brutal world of deep-sea survival, it works. And perhaps the most unnerving part? This system is common in multiple anglerfish species. It's not an accident. It's an evolutionary solution to the problem of distance, darkness, and loneliness in the deep. The male sacrifices everything, his autonomy, his body, his life, just for the chance to pass on his DNA. And the female? She becomes the center of a small, floating harem, carrying with her a cluster of former males, reduced to organs, waiting to serve her reproductive needs. If this sounds like science fiction, it's not. This is one of the most extreme mating strategies ever recorded in nature. No hearts, no romance, just survival at any cost. So, let's recap what we've just witnessed. A love story straight out of a nightmare. A monstrous predator, lurking in total darkness, luring prey with a ghostly glow. A male, born useless, fragile, and incomplete, roaming the crushing depths with one purpose: find a female or die. And when he does, he fuses with her, melts into her flesh, disappears completely, leaving behind only what she needs from him: his ability to reproduce. This isn't just bizarre biology. This is evolution at its most brutal. No other creature on Earth mates like this. No flowers, no dancing rituals, no courtship, just absorption. One fish becomes part of another, and together they become a living machine designed for one thing: survival through sacrifice. It's disturbing, yes, but it's also brilliant. In a place where pressure could crush a human in seconds, where food is rare and contact with another of your kind might never happen again, this is what works. This is how life continues. And maybe that's the weirdest, most fascinating part of all. That in the coldest, darkest corners of the ocean, life found a way, even if that way looks more like horror than harmony. So the next time you hear someone say, love is complicated, just remember the anglerfish. Because for them, love means losing yourself completely, literally. If this blew your mind, just wait until you hear about the freshwater snail that ranks as one of the deadliest creatures on Earth. Yes, a snail. That story? Even stranger. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time in the depths of nature's most shocking secrets.